Welcome to this week's Monday Matters, where every Monday we answer a question from one of you and our clients. While it might not seem directly connected, local politics play a significant role in homeownership. Decisions made by your city council, mayor, or other local officials can affect everything from property taxes to zoning laws and neighborhood development. In today's video, we're going to explore how local politics can shape your experience as a homeowner and why staying informed is so important. I'm Missy Stakers, broker-owner of MStagersRealtyPartners, and let's talk about it. So let's talk about one of the first ones that's a big deal, and it comes around every year. Property taxes and assessments. Local governments set property tax rates, which directly impact your monthly expenses as a homeowner. So it's very important to stay informed about what's going on with property taxes and staying up to date with all the discussions that you may hear locally and at the state level. It's also important to know what your rights are in paying those taxes or disclosing what your property is worth. Now, besides taxes, this one most people don't think about very often, but it definitely comes into play when you get a little notice in the mail or a postcard because you're within so many feet of something going to be changed. And that is zoning laws. Zoning laws can determine how land in your area can be used, affecting everything from your neighborhood, your personal lot, the density, to nearby amenities. Often, when there's going to be a change, you will receive notice in the mail and have an opportunity to protest. I'm going to encourage you always to reach out to your HOA if you have one, and your neighbors. If you don't have an HOA, it's going to be very important to call the city or the county and get more information. When you receive notice, if you don't like what's going to happen around you, then you definitely need to take the time to submit your protest or call the local office and leave them a message in reference to your protest and why. They will schedule appointments on when they're going to have these meetings to change the zoning, and I encourage you to show up. Attending those meetings and learning more about the proposed developments and being able to advocate for the changes you like or don't like will make sure that you stay happy with where you're living. Now, besides zoning and taxes, what are some other things that you might want to pay attention to? Infrastructure and public services. This one can really be an impact on your budget, especially when you go to buy. So investments in schools, roads, parks, and utilities can increase your property taxes as well as your property values. It can improve your quality of life. But what you need to make sure of is that it's at a cost you're willing to pay. Most people do not understand that there are specialty taxes in certain areas to pay for all those things that they needed to bring in. So your tax rate where that property is located might be higher than 2 miles away that also gets the benefit of some of those items. So understanding your taxes when it comes to the schools, the roads, and utilities, especially utilities, is very important to know. In addition to all of those, one of the most important things is to make sure you use your voice in local politics. How do you do that? That's by showing up and voting. Voting in local elections gives you the power to influence the decisions that happen around you in your neighborhood and homeownership. Research the local candidates and ballot to make sure that you're voting for what aligns with your values and priorities. It is important to know that candidates have to tell you how they believe and what is their initiative. Lastly, let's talk about short-term and long-term policies. Policies on rental regulations, energy efficiency standards, or disaster preparedness can affect your home and your community over time. Sometimes we think that a simple policy change is not such a big deal until you look at the long-term effects, especially when it comes to rental regulations. And unfortunately, sometimes in local politics, the simple step in is just one of 10 steps they expect to initiate. So it's very important to understand what is the reason for the change or the regulation, and if it's short-term, long-term, and to look at what the end game is in the end. Local politics might not always make the headlines. A lot of times they don't, or we don't pay attention to them. But they have a big impact on your experience as a homeowner. By staying informed and participating in the local elections, reading what the propositions are, or having discussions with your neighbors, your HOAs, and your coworkers can sure help shape the decisions that may affect your property, neighborhood, and community. It's very important to actually take the time to pay attention to those. If you want more real estate tips, up-to-date market information, or advice on buying and selling a home, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Also, check out our website for our current listings and more helpful content that you can use as a buyer or seller. If you have any questions or need personalized advice, please feel free to reach out. We're always here to help because the experience does matter.